Part 17. The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Xiezhongdai Shang. Chapter 161. Fuyuki Civic Hall. This huge building is currently undergoing internal construction and has not yet been opened to the public. In this huge hall, on a platform, Iris Veil is lying there quietly. This is where Fuyuki City's spiritual veins gather, and where the Holy Grail will descend. Flandra and Artoria were nowhere to be seen, only Yayu was sitting there alone, holding his wife's hand tenderly. Yayu is waiting for the heroic spirits and masters who long for the Holy Grail to find them on their own, and then kill them one by one to become the final winner and call for the arrival of the Holy Grail. Compassion and kindness, those things are completely superfluous to him now. In order to obtain the Holy Grail and to save Iris Veil, Yayu will do anything. Thinking about it, I looked back at the weak Iris Veil. As the servants continued to die, the small Holy Grail was getting closer to completion. At this moment, Iris Veil almost completely disappeared transparently. "Are you going to die?" Iris Veil murmured to herself. The girl turned her head hard and looked at the silent Yayu, trying hard to make a pale smile. "Is there anything else you want to say?" Yayu rested his head on the edge of the platform, sleeping with Iris Veil, looking at the twinkling stars in the sky, and said casually, "Ah, I just feel very lucky. I can still open my eyes at this last moment, I can still see you, I can still feel your presence, and you can still be by my side," Iris Veil said softly. "As an artificial human, a doll, I was born to be used as a container. I have no way to decide my own life. I can only let others control me." Iris Veil stretched out one of her hands with difficulty, looking at the transparent, almost invisible skin. "Is this how I'm going to die? Even though I've been prepared for it a long time ago, I still feel inexplicably uneasy, I still want to take a good look at this world." "Really, why are you crying again?" Saying this in a somewhat coquettish tone, Iris Veil stretched out her hand to wipe away the tears from the corners of Yayu's eyes. "Don't be sad, Yayu." A pale palm gently touched Yayu's face. "Promise me that you will win the Holy Grail war, then make a wish with the Holy Grail, and then forget about me and return to the person you truly love." Yayu didn't answer but just held Iris Veil's hand tightly. He would never do such a thing, but Iris Veil didn't seem to care. She had already said everything she wanted to say. "It's so beautiful, the starry sky here," Iris Veil said softly. She turned her eyes and looked at Yayu, who looked like a little girl who was as excited as Ilya. "Hey, you know Yayu, when I opened my eyes from the beginning, what I saw was the great master Yabustakahade von Einsborn. He was holding a photo on the in front of me. I was told that from today on, this man is my husband." Yayu's hands suddenly tightened. "At that time, I didn't even know the meaning of a husband. Although I had the appearance of an adult when I was just born, I looked more like a little girl. Then I began to learn knowledge, began to understand the meaning of being a wife, and began to prepare to become the wife of the man named Emi Yakiritsugu." As she said that, Iris Veil couldn't help but laugh. Then, like a prank from the god of destiny, Yayu suddenly appeared, possessing more power than Emi Yakiritsugu, and attracted the attention of the great master. "He easily changed his mind and made me your wife. Of course, to me at that time, it was completely indifferent. Whether it was Emi Yakiritsugu or a strange man who suddenly appeared, the significance of my existence was not to be used as a prop in exchange for a powerful Einsborn. It's just fighting power." Iris Veil stuck out her tongue in embarrassment as she said this, but her cute actions only made Yayu feel endless heartache and sadness. "Well, Yayu, you won't be angry, right? In fact, I just married you and I don't even know what love is." Yayu just remained silent. Iris Veil spoke more and more, and her mental outlook became better and better. However, Yayu was not happy at all, because he knew that this was just the girl's flashback. "But it feels different after a long time. Yayu, You are so gentle, always consider me, and treat me, the artificial human, as something more precious than the whole world. Obviously you are unwilling to marry me. You still have someone you truly love waiting for you. Perhaps this is the legendary love that lasts for a long time. Yes, love grows over time. Yeah, you couldn't help but laugh, but this smile was full of sadness. I hate it, yeah you, since when did you make such embarrassing jokes? After hearing the hidden meaning in Yayu's words, Iris Veal's pretty face instantly turned red, and the girl's pale face was stained with blood, making her look particularly alluring. It's great that I, an emotionless artificial human, can experience the taste of love. I can know what love is like. As Iris Veal said this, the girl's voice, which was originally full of vitality, suddenly became quieter. The palm she held in Yayu's hand also became weak and weak. Her face, which was originally full of vitality, turned deathly pale again. Immediately, Alice Phil closed his eyes peacefully. Silence filled the air. Yayu lowered his head, and his face was buried deep under the high-raised collar. He couldn't see his face clearly, and could only feel the constant suppressed silence. Is this sadness? Maybe. Such a strong emotion, the pain seemed to tear the whole body into pieces. Then with a loud bang, the door of the people's hall was blown away, and a servant in golden armor walked in slowly. Bastard, it's really easy for me to find you. Is this the grave you chose for yourself? Where is your servant? Or do you want to face me alone? Archer said unruly as he walked into the People's Guild Hall. His bloody eyes stared at Yayu cruelly, full of unspeakable murderous intent. It's time, to end everything. The head was slowly raised, and Yayu's black eyes were covered with a layer of ice blue color, making it impossible to look directly at them. The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Xiezhongdai Shang. Chapter 162. Haha, it's interesting. It's interesting. Are you already insane because of fear? How come, you want to deal with me alone? Seeing Yayu's death-charging stance, Archer narrowed his red eyes, held his hands and laughed happily. Of course I won't deal with you alone. I'm not as arrogant as you are. But what about you? Do you want the three of us to fight together, or do you want us to fight each other one by one? Seeing Archer's appearance, Yayu laughed softly. After he finished speaking, the two figures gradually solidified around him. Arteria, fully armed in blue and white armor and holding a holy sword, and Flandra, holding the calamity sword Valentine that once destroyed the world, appeared in front of Yayu. Two girls, one on the left and one on the left. The one on the right guarded him, staring at Archer coldly. Tisk, the bastard has learned to provoke, but do you think this king will be afraid of you? The three of you come together. Declaring this without fear, Archer continued his arrogance to the end as golden light spread out like water waves behind him. But this time it was a little different, because there was no overwhelming rain of noble phantasms. What appeared was just a sword, a weird-shaped weapon that might not even be called a sword. Can this weapon really be called a sword? It's just too weird. It has both a hilt and a guard, and is similar in length to an ordinary long sword. But the most critical part of the sword is far from a sword in the traditional sense. I saw three sections of cylinders tightly connected, and the flat blades were twisted into a spiral shape. The three cylinders slowly wound around each other like chains, rotating and extending. Yes, it can no longer be called a sword. It is impossible for something that was born in the world long before the concept of sword to appear in the shape of a sword. It was made by God before he created man, and it was the manifestation of divinity that witnessed the creation of the world. I saw three segments of the millstone-like cylinder echoing the movement of the celestial sphere, each rubbing and rotating with weight and strength that rivaled the changes in the Earth's crust. The expanding magic power rolling out was simply immeasurable. Come and put an end to your endless dream. I will personally show you the laws of the world. Archer's arm was raised high above his head, and the initial sword began to slowly speed up. Every lap faster, faster. Witnessing all this, Artoria and Flandra instinctively sensed the approaching danger, speeding up their charge. Anti-army treasure? A treasure against the city? The power of Archer's sword has exceeded the range that can be reasonably calculated, but despite this, Artoria and Flandra did not show any fear. Wake up, Ea, the stage is set to suit you. Ea, in ancient Mesopotamian mythology, he is the god of heaven and earth in charge of the earth and water. The deviant sword, as he called it, was the original sword that witnessed the creation of the world in the age of mythology. The task assigned to its blade was to split the chaotic sky and earth in half and give it a precise shape. Now, the proudly whirling divine sword whips up gusts of strong wind, and is preparing to repeat the miracle of creation. The golden hero king declared proudly. Look carefully, this is the star that opens up the sky and the earth. The sky is screaming and the earth is roaring. The expanding magic beam shook the laws of the universe and surged out. Archer swung his sword down, not aiming at anyone at all. There is no need to target anyone anymore. What the blade of the deviant sword can cut is by no means limited to any enemies. The figures of the two girls looked so small in front of this light, and even Yayu's ice crystal-like pupils were completely illuminated by the dazzling light. Then, what is reflected in those pupils that are as bright as crystal gems? Iris Veal opened her eyes and looked around. It feels very strange now. The consciousness is infinitely vivid, but it is impossible to think clearly. It seems that what is muddy and meaningless is not her own spirit, but the world in which she lives. Many scenes flew past her eyes. Looking at these sights, one can only feel a sense of unnecessary and unbearable sadness and emptiness. The seriously reflected scenes have nothing to do with joy and happiness. What is common at this point is a kaleidoscope of chaotic scenes. There is crying, humiliation, regretful resentment and lack. So hateful. So hateful. I hate it so much. I hate it so much. Someone kept repeating, shouting in pain, and cursing in my ears. Don't say it again. Iris Veal covered her ears in pain, curled up and squatted down. Why? A voice rang out from behind Iris Veal, a voice that made Iris Veal familiar with fear. Who is that? That is. The body slowly spun around, and standing behind Iris Veal was herself, exactly the same, self in a jet black dress. Why? Iris Veal looked at that self slowly walking over with a horrified look on her face. Dark mud was flowing on her body, and finally slowly dripping from her eyes, mouth, nose, and even it overflowed from every pore on the body, like a broken container. Why? The self-body knelt down. A short distance away from Iris Veal, she smiled foolishly, and her body slowly sank as if she was sinking into a swamp. Go down. Why? She was still repeating these words until the end, and her dirty hands were smeared on the corners of Iris Veal's skirt, dyeing the pure white dress pitch black. I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. Crying, her tears seemed to have dried up, Iris Veal murmured aimlessly, and then the ground beneath her feet rippled violently. Come on, come on, come on. There was a voice shouting again, endless sounds, a pair of arms stretched out from the ground, the flat ground seemed to turn into a swamp, the arms pulled Iris Veal, pull it down slowly. No. No. Who will save me? Fran, Yayu, Ilya, help me, help me. Iris Veal woke up with a start. Everything just happened was like a dream. She looked around and saw that she was in the castle of Einsborn. The body of her daughter Ilya was sleeping soundly in her arms. There is cold wind and snow outside the window. The strong wind howled by, and the young hands clung to their mother's arms for protection. Mother, I had a nightmare. Ilya turned into a wine glass. Despite her inner fear, Ilya's red eyes looked at her with trust. Iris Veal hugged her daughter tightly, her silver white bangs wiping her daughter's face that was wet with tears. It's okay, that won't happen. You won't see that, Ilya. The shackles that cannot be escaped, the sorrow of being an artificial human of Einsborn, the container that carries the fragments of the Holy Grail forever. The third magic, cup of heaven, this achievement is the only salvation. Many voices rushed towards Iris Veal. She was singing with countless sisters. Holy Grail. Please give me the Holy Grail. Deep in the forest, there is an abandoned site of used artificial humans. The mountains of corpses of our compatriots chanted. The rotten face covered with maggots overlapped with the face of young Ilya, making a painful sound. It's fine. The mother held her daughter tightly in her arms full of love. That kind of thing will never happen, because soon I will become an all-powerful wishing machine, and everything will end. Suddenly, the flying snow outside the window stopped. Mixed into the darkness of the night was thick swirling black mud. Iris Veal was neither scared nor surprised, she just calmly understood and watched all this. The mud seeped in from all parts of the room, dripped from the chimney, and slowly soaked under her feet. Just give yourself, just sacrifice yourself, complete the third method, complete the cup of heaven. The hot mud clinging to her body elegantly dyed her skirt black. Waiting for the moment when her wish comes true, the woman wrapped in darkness smiles. Get rid of all sighs, get rid of all worries. Soon, she will gain the ability to grant wishes. As a universal wish machine that makes everything come true. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Xiezhongdai Shang. Chapter 163. Nothing, not even anyone, can survive this epoch-making light. This is the law of heaven and earth, and it is the king's order that cannot be disobeyed. Archer opened his blood-red eyes and looked at everything in front of him happily. There should be nothing left under this sword, right? Whether those two stupid servants, the overestimating master, or the entire Fuiuki Civic Hall, nothing exists anymore, right? Feel honored, you bastards. Let me use EA to send you on your way. You will have bragging rights after your death. Archer said so cheerfully, but soon he felt something was wrong, because the thick smoke generated by EA's attack did not dissipate for a long time. In other words, this is not thick smoke, but ice mist condensed by extremely cooling ice. Damn, what is going on? Archer yelled out of confusion and confusion. He suddenly found that the place he was in was no longer in front of the Fuiuki City Civic Hall, but another completely unfamiliar place. This is a land of eternal frozen frost. Looking at it, even if the blue frost is removed, it is still frost. This is an inherent barrier. Archer, who had seen Ryder's inherent barrier before, quickly understood what kind of situation he was facing now. He was involved in someone's inherent barrier. Interesting, is it Saber, or is it Berserker who looks like a little girl? As Archer muttered to himself, the frost in front of him slowly dispersed, and what appeared in front of him was a character that he had never expected at all. How come, this is your inherent barrier? Archer looked at Yeyu in front of him with some incomprehension. Saber and Flandre did not appear, as if they had withdrawn from the attack just now, and Yeyu was the only one standing there. But it was obvious that Yeyu had no way to answer his question, because the unclean frost had slowly covered his entire body and immediately turned into a throne. It was a frozen throne that went up a spiral staircase and was covered with ferocious ice picks. Ha ha ha, interesting, has it become a throne? What, are you surrendering to this king? Seeing Yayu's changes, Archer laughed wildly, and golden ripples rippled behind him with a wave of his hand. But it's a pity that such an ugly throne is not worthy of me, so you'd better die obediently. Although he was talking arrogantly, Archer still didn't dare to neglect it. If he stayed in this weird inherent barrier for a second longer, he would feel a deep chill. This feeling made him very unhappy, and he just wanted to kill the owner of the barrier in front of him as soon as possible and escape. Damn it, how on earth did this bastard take a frontal blow from the Guile sword? Even though the two servants couldn't withstand the blow, why was this guy unscathed? Could it be that those two servants tried their best to protect him? Thoughts flowed in an instant, and the rain of noble phantasms immediately poured towards Yayu's transformed throne with an aura that was about to tear all enemies apart. Then, the whole world underwent earth-shaking changes. With a roar that could tear the world apart, the iceberg behind Archer collapsed, and something was struggling to wake up from the frosty debris. The frozen lake beneath his feet, which looked like thousands of years of ice, also had signs of fragmentation, causing Archer to stand unsteadily and almost collapse. Damn, what the hell is this? None of the noble phantasms thrown could hit the intended target. All the noble phantasms were covered with a light layer of frost and were immediately frozen alive in mid-air. Archer looked at the scene in front of him with wide eyes and disbelief. Those were noble phantoms, not ordinary soldiers. Many of them were fire attributed. But so many noble phantasms, even noble phantasms with attribute restraints, were actually frozen in mid-air alive. Are you kidding? Who are you? Archer roared in confusion, and then a huge shadow enveloped him. Boom! With a loud noise, a huge bone claw slammed down, slamming Archer into the frozen lake. The owner, who let out a shrill roar at the beginning, finally revealed his figure. It was the huge bone dragon. It woke up from the ruins of the frosty remains, and the strange blue soul fire was in its body. The eye sockets were burning. After smashing Archer into the frozen lake with one claw, the huge bone dragon spread out its branches like wings, casting a twisted silhouette of a cross on the pale ground. The sound of cracking and cracking bones was heard. As the bone dragon woke up, countless pale skeletons crawled out from under the broken frozen beard. They were wearing scales and holding broken weapons, like a group of experienced warriors. The soldiers who fought hundreds of battles returned to their battlefields again. Then, as the bone dragon spread its wings and flew across the entire frozen beard, these skeletons faced the sky together, their soul flames rolling violently and making a silent roar, as if to welcome the return of their king. At this moment, silence was better than sound, but soon, this silent roar was interrupted by Archer. Archer, who was smashed into the ground by the bone dragon's claw, jumped up, his handsome face twisted with extreme anger. He looked at the invisible army of kings in front of him and roared with great anger. You filthy, filthy bastards, dead people should look like dead people to me. Golden ripples slowly opened from behind Archer again, and the endless king's treasure once again showed its ferocious appearance. The cold was still oppressive, but this time Archer's noble phantasm was all ignited with flames. If Yayu was still conscious, he would not be unfamiliar with this flame. The flaming magic sword Valentine, the king's treasure, contains the prototype of all treasures in the world, and Flandre's Valentine is no exception. Although Archer cannot use this treasure well, he can use it for himself. All the noble phantasms are attached with a layer of flames, making it easy to resist the cold. You bastards, accept the king's wrath and punishment. With the murderous declaration, the endless rain of swords fell. The Ultimate Lich King. Author, BasedonanAnime. Chapter 164. The vast land with no end in sight is covered with pale white skeletons, and these pale skeletons seem to be endless, and they are still climbing up from under the frozen lake. In the center of these armies of the dead is a towering frozen throne, and not far from the throne is the azure hell burning with raging flames. Archer made the right choice to attach flames to the noble phantasm. Although the influence of frost is still there, the noble phantasm has never been directly frozen again. The huge bone dragon spread its wings and flew around the throne, seemingly looking for an opportunity to attack Archer. That's enough. Is this all there is to you? It's so boring. The rain of noble phantasms has been pouring down for who knows how long, and it has continued until Archer is almost tired of it. These skeleton soldiers are too fragile. Except for the bone dragon at the beginning, Yayu's inherent barrier poses no threat to Archer at all. I'm getting tired of it, Kyrie, use the command seal to restore my magic power. He didn't want to continue to tangle with these fragile skeleton soldiers. In Archer's opinion, fighting these wastes was simply an insult to his status as a king. He directly asked Kotomine Kyrie to use the command seal to replenish his magic power, and planned to use the Star of Deviation of Heaven and Earth again to destroy these annoying things along with the entire inherent barrier. Kotomine Kyrie continued to perform the infiltration mission while listening to the battle between the servants outside the civilian hall. He was very relieved that the King of Heroes could face multiple servants alone. It was meaningless no matter how many enemies there were in front of that king. As long as he uses his most powerful treasure. Kotomine Kyrie thought so, and soon received Archer's order to replenish his magic power. Kotomine Kyrie was a little surprised by this. Such a request meant that the King of Heroes had used EA and had not wiped out all the enemies. Moreover, the enemies were now giving the King of Heroes a headache and planned to let him use EA again. Are Saber and Berserker that strong? Muttering to himself like this, Kotomine Kyrie used the command seals without hesitation. The number of command seals he inherited from his father was very large, enough for him to squander it at will. This is the underground floor of the Min Guild Hall, a large props warehouse directly below the stage. Emi Yakiritsugu, who had lost his servant and had no one to rely on, moved forward cautiously. Above his head were the servants who were engaged in a deadly battle. It was a battle that he, as a human, could not touch or understand. The only thing he can do now is to sneak in quietly while these servants are fighting and get close to the Holy Grail. Under the dim light, Emi Yakiritsugu stopped moving forward. In front of him was a slender figure wearing a cassock. Kotomine Kyrie was regarded by him as his fateful enemy in this Holy Grail war. Kotomine Kyrie also noticed Emi Yakiritsugu in front of him, and he also stopped in his tracks. The light of the black key held in his hand reflected the light of the magic gun body. Both of them were aware of the murderous intention, and both of them were already aware of the fierceness. Then, words of communication are no longer needed. The two finally looked at each other directly, and they understood a conclusion at the same time. For Emi Yakiritsugu, this war is. For Kotomine Kyrie, the entire battlefield in Fuyuki City is. Everything exists to defeat the enemy in front of you. The command seal is an incredible miracle, the most powerful weapon given to the Master through the Great Holy Grail. Because of the existence of the command spell, Masters do not have to worry about servants disobeying discipline, and they can also strengthen their servants' combat effectiveness anytime and anywhere according to the situation. Although the effectiveness of the command spell is not omnipotent, for example, Waver's wish for Ryder to win and obtain the Holy Grail was not fulfilled, but in some aspects the command spell is omnipotent. For example, to restore a servant's lost magic power or to treat their injuries, such commands can be completed almost instantly. After Kotomine Kyrie used the command spell to restore the magic power of the King of Heroes, almost instantly, Archer felt the surging magic power pouring into his body, making him stretch out in relief. Very good, the game is over. Feel the honor that you can see the supreme glory twice. King's treasure stopped shooting, and the gap that was cleared was filled almost instantly. Archer looked with disdain at these skeleton soldiers who had no consciousness of their own and only knew how to attack constantly, and took EA out of his treasure house. Even the light emitted by EA couldn't resist it. The fragile skeleton soldiers fell apart under the sacred light of the oblivious sword and turned into fragments on the ground. The bone dragon coiled above the frozen throne turned its body uneasily, lowered its head and roared vigilantly, but even it did not dare to approach Archer easily, to approach that ray of light. Death, you bastards, the star that opened up the universe. Once again, He proudly drank the name of his noble phantasm, and a torrent of dazzling light suddenly filled the entire world, turning everything in the way into powder. Scarlet eyes looked coldly at the pure white world in front of him, a world swallowed up by dazzling light. There was no trace of death in the surroundings, and Archer was sure that all the undead creatures had been wiped out by his sword. Garbage is just garbage after all. No matter how large the quantity is, it has no substantial significance. Archer stared with scarlet eyes and said so cruelly. Although using the deviation sword twice in one day brought a lot of load to his body, since the enemy has been dealt with, this level of load does not matter. Anyway, this is the end of this Holy Grail war, and it would be nice to have such a gorgeous ending. But soon, Archer felt something was wrong, because although the breath of the dead creature had completely disappeared, the cold breath still showed no sign of weakening. What's going on? This inherent barrier hasn't been broken yet. Am I still trapped in this inherent barrier? The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Xiezhongdai Shang. Chapter 165. The white before his eyes was dazzlingly pale, different from the white of frost. The white before his eyes was full of an ominous, cold, and dead atmosphere. Archer stood there blankly and looked around. He didn't know what the situation was like now, and he didn't know where he was. Damn bastard, get out of here, get out of here. Roaring and screaming, but it was meaningless. Archer was only answered by deathly silence. His throat was hoarse and dry. Archer tried to calm down. He raised his head again and looked into the distance. The pale white color that he couldn't tell what it was made of slowly dispersed, and what appeared in front of Archer's eyes was still the towering frozen throne. Ha, ha ha, ha ha ha. Funny, really funny, you got me a little excited bastard. Holding the Gailai sword tightly, Archer moved forward step by step. As he advanced, cracks spread under his feet. There is nothing wrong with the fact that this is still an inherent barrier, but it is obvious that after receiving Archer's sword, this inherent barrier is on the verge of collapse. On the throne, one could vaguely see a figure wrapped in full coverage armor. The man with his head lowered remained motionless, as quiet as if he had lost his life. Tisk, does it cost you too much energy to maintain this inherent barrier with one sword? Do you still have the strength to fight now? Stand up, tell me, answer me, answer me. The figure did not respond, but the sword beside the figure trembled. The long sword, which was completely black, exuded a strange aura, like a black hole swallowing light, which attracted Archer's eyes unconsciously. It's just a sword, why would I? Somewhat confused, Archer shook his head and moved on. He stepped onto the frozen throne and stood in front of the sleeping king. Although I don't know what kind of king you are, but that's the end of it. Showing his last respect to the dark figure in armor in front of him, Archer stabbed him mercilessly with the deviant sword in his hand. The expected sound of piercing flesh did not sound, and Archer looked at the armored figure who seemed to be sleeping in front of him with some horror. The strange and demonic sword had appeared in the hands of the armored figure at some point, and he blocked the sword of absurdity abruptly. How is it possible? What kind of weapon is that of yours? How could it be able to block this king's deviant sword? Archer roared in disbelief, and the next second a cold sting spread through half of his body. The ancient king stared blankly as the monster sword drew a dark arc in front of him. It was faster than his thoughts. Monster blood flowers bloomed from half of his body. The stinging pain could only be felt for a moment before it was covered by biting frost, replaced by endless numbness. It was the emptiness and numbness of losing everything, and Archer had indeed lost something important. The hand holding the Gailai sword was thrown away along with half of his body, like the fallen royal power, falling under the throne like garbage. However, the blood spurting out due to the limb being cut was frozen by the terrifying low temperature the moment it was squeezed out of the blood vessel. The half of Archer's flesh and blood solidified into the shape of a blooming monster flower. How dare you, How dare you, you! Pain and anger were mixed together, causing the oldest king to completely fall into madness. However, all this was meaningless in the face of absolute power. Before the evil words could be uttered, the monster's dark long sword then he recovered again and cut off his head directly. At this point, all 7 servants from the Holy Grail War have withdrawn. In the direction of the starlit stage of the Fuyuki Civic Hall, Iris Veal, who had been lying quietly, had disappeared and was replaced by a cup-shaped object shining with golden light. Because all the servants died, the Holy Grail that absorbed enough power has been conceived, and is now waiting for the winner to come and make a wish. The killing continues. Bullet. Dagger. Poison. Bomb. Through. Tear. Combustion. Immersion. Overwhelming. The significance was never in doubt. After carefully weighing its value, choose the side that the scale favors. The other side should be left empty, so kill. Kill, kill, keep killing. Yes, that's correct. In order to save the majority, someone must sacrifice. If there are more happy people being protected than unhappy people, then the world is closer to being saved. Even if there are countless corpses underfoot. If any life is saved, then the most important thing is these lives being protected. Has the Holy Grail arrived? Emi Yakiritsugu murmured to himself like this. He was clearly fighting to the death with Koto Mine Kaire on the underground floor, but an hallucination suddenly appeared in front of him, and the wish deep in his heart appeared. He knew that this was a sign of the arrival of the Holy Grail, and it seemed that the winner of the Holy Grail War did not go to make a wish. The Holy Grail was now ownerless. Could it be said that they died together? Emi Yakiritsugu murmured to himself. It was not impossible for this kind of thing to happen, but for a moment it made him unable to accept it. Then, come and make a wish. I have been waiting for you. You are the most suitable bearer for me. Some illusory voices rang in Emi Yakiritsugu's ears. His long-cherished wish was about to come true. Unable to suppress the excitement in his heart, Emi Yakiritsugu quickly stepped forward and stepped into the world of the Holy Grail. The black soil rolled with waves like the sea. There are mountains of corpses everywhere, which are gradually sinking into the sea. The sky is red as blood. Amid the black mud rain, a dark sun dominated the sky. Wind is curse and sorrow. If you use any words to describe it, here, if not hell, then where is it? Is this the Holy Grail? Emi Yakiritsugu looked up at the oppressive bloody sky. At the center of the world, there was a hole in the sky. There is unfathomable darkness inside, and the density seems to be able to crush everything. The omnipotent wish-making machine and the all-powerful Holy Grail actually looked like this. Emi Yakiritsugu couldn't accept it for a moment and froze in place. Yes, this is the Holy Grail, the one you expected, the Holy Grail. Then, in the wind, an unknown voice sounded slowly, with a creepy smile that made people shudder. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Xiezhongdai Shang. Chapter 166. How could it be? Why is this happening? Why, the Holy Grail is like this. Yes, so hurry up and pray and make a wish. The seductive voice suddenly became like a child again, playfully encouraging Emi Yakiritsugu. How could it be like this? How will this Holy Grail achieve my miracle? Emi Yakiritsugu murmured. Of course it will be realized using Emi Yakiritsugu's method. The sound sounded again, and then the world went dark. There are 2 ships floating on the sea. There were 300 people on one ship and 200 on the other, a total of 500 crew members and passengers, as well as Emi Yakiritsugu. Assume that these 501 people are the last remaining humans in the world. Now, It's time for Emi Yakiritsugu to play a scene based on the following propositions and characters. Yayu slowly opened his eyes, and he felt his body floating slowly, as if falling into the water. But soon, Yayu discovered that what was around him was not water, but black mud, turbid and dirty black mud. A pitch-black ominous aura lingered in it, binding Yayu's body like countless pitch-black ropes wrapping around his body. Closing his eyes, he couldn't remember exactly what happened. He only remembered that Archer used the most powerful noble phantasm in the end, and then there was overwhelming light. What happened? Where is Fran, Arturia, and Archer? How is the Holy Grail war going? How is Ellie? Where am I? What is this place? Crime. 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 You are guilty. You deserve to die. Kill you. Asshole. Go to hell. Go to hell. Go to hell. Go to hell. A chaotic curse sounded in his ears, but the expression on Yayu's face did not change at all. He seemed to have lost his soul and just drifted in the black mud until he gradually sank to the bottom. Ah, I feel it, Iris Veal, are you here? Is this your embrace? No wonder, it's so warm and reassuring. Yes, I'm here, I'll be here forever, this is the Holy Grail, my dear, I said I will definitely deliver the Holy Grail to you, come on, now make a wish bar. Accompanied by such a gentle and intoxicating voice, a familiar girl slowly appeared at the bottom of the black mud. Yayu just hugged each other, as if he was hugging the whole world. Don't leave me, don't ever leave me, Iris Veal, this is my wish. Is this really good, this and wish, what will you do with the person you love deeply? How will you return to your original world? Yayu's wish made Iris Veal in his arms slightly stunned, and then the girl smiled so gently and said this while gently stroking Yayu's head. Now I just want to protect what I have in front of me, so don't leave me, Ellie. This is my wish. Ah, yes, this is your wish. Iris Veal in her arms muttered this word by word, and immediately her beautiful face turned ferocious. The Holy Grail is indeed a universal wish-making machine, but now that it has been contaminated by the sins of this world, although it has not lost its effectiveness, the wishes it fulfills are carried out with great malice. No one knows what will happen if the vow to never separate is speculated and fulfilled with extreme malice. And just when the Holy Grail accepted Yayu's wish and began to operate, a powerful and terrifying power of frost once again burst out from Yayu's body, and soon Yayu lost his consciousness again. The whole person also disappeared from the turbid sins of this world. The black mud rolled up into a whirlpool. Sin, the evil in this world, circulates, increases, changes, and changes in its whirlpool. A whirlpool of cursed sounds swirled. There is something here that shouldn't exist. Amidst the negative curses, a voice shouted yes. Impossible. There is no right or certainty in this maelstrom of resentment and curses. Because Senluo Wangxiang concluded that everything is ugly and hateful, this word cannot appear here. But again the voice declared clearly, exactly. Exactly, that's how the world is. Now that the facts are before us, why sigh again? Why be surprised again? The cursed voice asked. What is right? Does anyone admit it? Who allows it? Who else will bear the burden of sin? Faced with the bombshell from the dark head, the answer was indeed a high-pitched scoff. Stupid question. There is no need to ask. The king comes to acknowledge it, and the king comes to allow it. The king came to carry the whole world on his back. Nifa asked, what is the king? But in raising the question, it discovered that it was contradicting itself. In this place where individuals are absolutely not allowed to exist, Miu Miu believes that there are others in his body. Some foreign object that cannot exist has appeared here. That is, the king, the absolute controller, the unique being. His name is Gilgamesh, the king of heroes. It is me. Along with the droplets, the black mud scattered and cracked. The foreign object that could not be digested even with all the resentment emerged from the black mud. In the burning ruins, he stood on the ground again. The body with perfect golden proportions is no longer the spiritual body during the servant period, but a real physical body. The black mud that denies all life turns the impurities mixed into the body into crystals and discards them. As a result, a certain heroic spirit realizes his wish to obtain a physical body and return to the living world. Even standing in the middle of the scorching hell, the majesty exuded by the king made the surrounding flames dare not get close. Gilgamesh openly exposed his statue-like naked body, his scarlet eyes full of murderous intent and laughter. It's so refreshing, the feeling of failure, the feeling of having your head cut off, is really addictive like taking drugs. Yeah, right, you are a powerful and great king, a king that I, Gilgamesh, admire and fear. But next time we meet again, I will never lose to you again. The reborn Gilgamesh stood on the desolate land and made this declaration, which contained the pride and respect of becoming a king. Yayu was the first person in the world to make the proud Gilgamesh lower his head and admit defeat. Even the gods in the past had not been treated like this by Gilgamesh. So, next time we meet, I will definitely kill you with my own hands. The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Xiezhongdai. Chapter 167. Tell trouble to the many boys and girls with supernatural powers. If you want to try your talents, then abandon your relatives, friends, property, everything in the world. Come to me and wait for Hakuba to come. Ah. Hello. Meow. The field of vision suddenly widened, and then dropped rapidly. What kind of situation is this? Where is this place? It's all because of that damn trust. Meow. Accompanied by the screams of the boys and girls inside, there was a series of thump and thump sounds of falling into the water. With a crash, several people climbed out of the water and began to sort out their wet clothes. Well, who are you, X3? Meow. At the same time, in the 360 workshop in the outer living area of Hakuba 210-5380. Black Rabbit, how are you? Have you invited them? A young man who looked very cowardly, had short navy blue hair, and was wearing a loose robe dressed like an adult said slowly. Yes. Master Ren, it's a great success, and in addition to the 3 people, there seems to be a giver. Next to this young man is a girl with rabbit ears with pure blue long hair. The sweet and cute appearance is wearing a mini skirt. She said excitedly to the boy called Master Ren, her body beating uncontrollably, and she really looked like a rabbit. Gifty? What's going on? The young man asked with some confusion. Ah, don't worry about that much. Wouldn't it be better to have one more person? You must know that ordinary people without superpowers have no way to come to this Hakoniwa world. Black Rabbit will go and pick them up now. With that said, the girl named Black Rabbit disappeared by the window without giving the boy named Master Ren time to react. Don't worry, Master Ren. Black Rabbit will definitely bring them all back. A voice with a long and cute tail came from a distant place. Oh, Master Ren could only smile bitterly. It's disgusting, all my clothes are soaked. The girl with long black hair, a red dress, and a ladylike air twisted the hem of her clothes with a dissatisfied look on her face. Are you okay? The girl with short light brown hair asked worriedly while holding a tri-haired cat. Meow meow meow. The 3-haired cat meowed softly. Most people naturally couldn't understand what he was saying, but this short-haired girl understood it because this was the reason why she was summoned to the small garden. I thought I was going to die, meow meow. What a bad summons. This look has no elegance at all, the girl in red said angrily. That is to say, bastard, if you are not good, you will game over on the spot. It would be more friendly to be summoned into the stone, the third voice belonging to the young man sounded, that was a man with dazzling golden broken hair. With purple pupils and headphones on, he looks like a completely delinquent and bad boy. Okay, let's introduce ourselves, the two ladies over there. This nasty sounding voice sounded here, and the boy looked at the two girls over there. It's really not elegant. Shouldn't you introduce yourself before asking others' names? The girl in red stood up, flicked her long hair, and said with great aura. Ah, you are such an incredible young lady. I am the savage and rude Izayoi. Since I am a waste that possesses the three poisons of rudeness, ferocity, and hedonism, please follow the usage and dosage and treat me with a suitable attitude. Eldest lady, the young man smiled evilly and emphasized the words eldest lady very hard. Really? I'll consider it if you give me the instructions, Izayoi-kun. Kuanasuka, please pay attention in the future. By the way, what's the name of the girl holding the cat over there? Kuanasuka said and looked at the cat who was holding the cat. A silent girl with short hair. Kazukebyoshi. The following is the same as above. Huh? Wasn't it said that there are 4 people? Why are there only 3? Could it be that the cat is also considered a person? Black Rabbit, who was secretly observing the 3 of them, couldn't help but bite his fingers anxiously. But these 3 guys seem to be very difficult to deal with. Wow, they are complete problem children. Although it's not a good idea to say so for the person who summoned them, but objectively speaking, it's really unimaginable for them to assist me. The melancholy Black Rabbit couldn't help but sigh heavily, and then couldn't help sneezing. But fortunately, the girl quickly covered her nose with her hands, so that she would not make any noise for the boys and girls on the side to notice. Why, it's a little cold. Black Rabbit muttered with a confused look on his face, while the boys and girls on the other side who were still standing in the lake looked a little panicked. The lake they fell into not long ago actually froze in front of them. The freezing speed was very fast, and soon the entire lake froze into a huge piece of ice. Here, what you asked for is here. Although it's not a stone, it doesn't feel much softer than a stone. Looking at the frozen lake exuding cold air in front of them, Juyu and Finiao couldn't help but tremble. If they ate a little bit and fell off, they would probably fall directly on the ice and break their heads and bleed. It's interesting, in this world, such interesting characters have just appeared. Hey, stop hiding, you pretentious guy. Izayoi said this carelessly, and then stepped on the lake. Accompanied by a crackling sound that made one's scalp numb, radioactive cracks exploded from Izayoi's feet. Although such destructive power made the 2 girls scream in varying degrees, Izayoi frowned slightly in dissatisfaction. With the young man's strength, breaking mountains and rocks was just a piece of cake. He originally thought he could easily break the entire frozen lake, but it was obvious that the ice was stronger than he expected. Tisk, are you so hard? While Izayoi was muttering, the culprit who caused all this slowly appeared in front of them. It was a man with an expressionless face. He was walking slowly from the frozen distance, carrying a strong sense of oppression that made people hold their breath involuntarily. That was the pressure that made people want to worship the king. However, just when Izayoi and others had such thoughts in their minds, the terrifying pressure quickly disappeared and was replaced. What is lingering in everyone's mind is a faint, unpleasant, and ominous atmosphere. Dark, dirty, the smell of sin. The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Xiezhongdai Shang. Chapter 168. There are indeed 4 people, but why does this 4th person feel so scary to Black Rabbit? Ugh, what kind of incredible person did I summon? Feeling the terrifying power fluctuation that made the girl involuntarily suffocate, Black Rabbit raised his ears and hid in the grass, trembling, not knowing what to do. Will they fight? The power of freezing the entire lake feels so scary. If they fight, it will definitely cause a lot of damage, right? While Black Rabbit was thinking about whether to go out and stop the violent conflict that was about to occur, the situation of the confrontation below changed again. Izayoi stared at Yayu nervously, while the two girls were speechless and couldn't help hiding behind Izayoi. The expressionless Yayu came over and touched his chin. Said in confusion. I'm scary. Ah, I can't say it's scary, but you are a strong person, the kind of strong person who makes people feel creepy and excited just by standing there. Izayoi said so excitedly that the boy clenched his fists and his whole body could not help but tremble. Strong. Listening to what Izayoi said, Yayu smiled bitterly and lowered his head in a depressed manner. What kind of strong person am I? If I am really a strong person who is not afraid of anything. He was thinking this in a trance, and then Izayoi's voice sounded in his ears again. Then, let's fight. Yayu was slightly stunned and looked at Izayoi, who was standing in front of him in a fighting posture. What does this guy want to do? I thought it would be boring, but I didn't expect to meet a strong person like you. With an excited look on his face, Izayoi urged Yayu impatiently. Come on, let's fight. You are strong, right? Then you will definitely not refuse my challenge, right? Let's have a fist-to-fist fight between men. Sorry, I'm not interested. Regarding Izayoi's enthusiastic invitation, Yayu coldly refused without even thinking about it, making the passionate Izayoi wither in an instant. What, aren't you a strong person? How can you back down when faced with a challenge? The young man muttered dissatisfiedly, but the expression on Yayu's face looked a little lonely. I'm not a strong person, I never have been. I'm just a loser who can't even control his own power. Yayu said this, passed by Izayoi and the two girls, and immediately turned his hand towards the frozen lake behind him that was frozen into ice. The terrible cold air disappeared in an instant, and the entire lake returned to its original state again. This miraculous ability stunned the three boys and girls, and the expression on Izayoi's face was particularly wonderful. Is this called being unable to control one's own power? Isn't this simply a miraculous skill? The three people who didn't know what to say were completely intimidated by the pressure and momentum displayed by Yayu, and Yayu ignored them and walked straight towards the place where the black rabbit was hiding. Woo, what's going on? He's coming towards Black Rabbit. It's so scary, so scary. What should I do? Black Rabbit suddenly fell into panic and had no idea what to do, while Yayu stopped and stood still in front of the grass where she was hiding. Where is this place? He asked the question calmly, causing the Black Rabbit hiding in the grass to shrink even tighter. How could it be possible? Black Rabbit obviously hid it so well. Oh. Yayu's words made Izayoi slightly stunned, because the other party's appearance made the young man still not come back to his senses. After he calmed down, he also noticed something. I see, that seems to be the culprit, right? Huh, Black Rabbit, who was hiding in the shade of a tree and felt as if his heart was about to be grabbed, was stunned. Have you really been discovered? Is this a lie? What, you've noticed it? Of course. I've never lost at hide and seek, right? And the girl holding the cat over there should have noticed it, right? Standing upwind, you know it even if you don't want to. Huh. You are very interesting. Izayoi smiled frivolously, but there was no smile in his eyes. The three people who were summoned without warning all stared at the hiding place of the Black Rabbit with cold eyes full of murderous intent. Along with the vague cold and death breath emanating from Yayu's body, let a certain person, the timid rabbit, was so frightened that he almost cried. You guys are so annoying. Staring at the Black Rabbit with such terrifying eyes like evil wolves, the Black Rabbit will be scared to death, right? Since ancient times, solitude and wolves have been the rabbit's natural enemies. If you can look at the Black Rabbit, with your fragile heart, just listen calmly to what I have to say. Black Rabbit will be very happy, right? The trembling Black Rabbit had no choice but to walk out on his own and said in a trembling voice. No, Izayoi said without hesitation. Reject, Kazuke Byoshi's last strike. Rejected, Juyuan made the final blow. As for Yayu, he looked at the rabbit in front of him who was about to cry, and then at the three problem children behind him, looking a little confused. Forget it, whatever they want to play has nothing to do with them. The most important thing now is to figure out what this place is. Thinking like this, Yayu walked up to Black Rabbit. This move made the other party shrink back in fear again, and the three problem children also fell into silence. In comparison, Yayu brought them a slightly greater sense of oppression. Where is this place? He tried his best to sound as gentle as possible, but when these words fell into Black Rabbit's ears, they seemed like an ultimatum warning, causing the timid rabbit's legs to weaken and fall to the ground. Do I look scary? Seeing the Black Rabbit trembling and begging for mercy, it was Yayu's turn to be speechless. He touched the tip of his nose helplessly, although his body was more or less stained due to the sins of this life. There is an aura of sin, but I have obviously controlled it very well, so I won't make the other party fear like this, right? No. It's nothing. Although you may seem scary, sir, you seem to be a good person. Black Rabbit showed a forced smile, quietly sent a card to Yayu, and then stood up with great effort. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Xiezhongdai Shang. Chapter 169. Standing up, Black Rabbit cheered up and cleared his throat, opened his arms and said. Then, first of all, welcome the four of you to this world of gods and demons, the place where many incredible people gather, the Heikanai Garden. We have given the four of you the qualifications to participate in the gift competition that only those with extraordinary gifts are allowed to participate. And summoned you. Gift competition? What is that? Izayoi asked. You are all not ordinary people in your own world. Those special abilities are gifts given by various Shura gods, demons, elves, or stars. The gift competition is held to compete with these gifts. The competition is a stage created for those who live in this world of Heikaniwa and have powerful gifts to live a happy and twisted life. Black Rabbit spread his arms wide and hugged the entire Heikaniwa. God, demon. Yayu frowned slightly and muttered this word. This word involuntarily reminded him of the labyrinth city Orario. But it was obvious that this was not Orario, because he had never heard of the term gift game. Yes, this is a world full of gods and demons, so don't be surprised. Okay, then Black Rabbit continues to explain, if you want to participate in the gift game in this Heikaniya, you must to join a guild, use the guild's name. I don't want to, Izayoi said with eyes closed. We must join, Black Rabbit jumped up. Sure enough, the real body is still a rabbit, Kuanasuka and Kazukebyo thought in their hearts. So, Black Rabbit is here to invite you to join our community and work together for tomorrow, Black Rabbit said, looking at you with eyes full of hope. Impossible, Juyuan Finiao flipped up his long hair. I don't want to, Izayoi was too lazy to even open his eyes. Don't even think about it, Kazukebyo didn't even raise his head. Hey. 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 Don't refuse so quickly, Black Rabbit jumped up again. Well, sir, are you willing to join my community? By the way, I still don't know your name, because of the self-introduction at the beginning. Black Rabbit knew the names of Izayoi and others, but for Yayu, she's still nothing. What's your name? Just call me Yayu. Black Rabbit, let me ask you a question, have you heard of Orario? Hey? Black Rabbit has never heard of this place. Is it Mr. Yayu's hometown? Hometown, maybe. Yayu murmured to himself, he was just a passerby to Orario, where was his true destination? By the way, It's the place where the wind and snow are drifting, the place where there are frost debris. So, Black Rabbit, since you can summon us from other worlds, do you know how to leave here and go to other worlds? Yayu, who thought of something, suddenly asked, staring at the Black Rabbit with a pair of eyes full of hope. If you can master this method, you might be able to return to Einsborn and Aurario. Ellie, I'm sorry I didn't protect you, but at least I wanted to protect our daughter. Thinking of this, Yayu gently touched his chest. The Holy Grail did grant his wish, allowing Iris Veil and him to never be separated. But it is a pity that this wish was fulfilled with the greatest malice. Iris Veil will indeed never be separated from him. Her soul merged into Yayu's body and became a part of him. Regardless, at least Iris Veil is not dead. As long as her soul is still there, Yayu believes that there must be a way to resurrect her. I'm sorry, this world-traveling magic was cast by Black Rabbit with the help of Hakuba's power. If you want to freely leave Hakuba and go to other worlds, you need a very powerful gift, at least a gift like that. I've never seen a Black Rabbit before. Black Rabbit said this and lowered his head a little decadently. She knew that after she said such words, it would be impossible for Yayu to join their community. But somewhat to Black Rabbit's surprise, Yayu gave a completely opposite answer. Very well, I'll join you. Hearing what Yayu said, Black Rabbit was stunned for a moment, then jumped up excitedly. Really, really? Black Rabbit is so excited. The girl made such a fuss and then gave Yayu a big hug. The wonderful touch of the girl's soft body accompanied by the faint fragrance made Yayu unable to help but react. Damn it, is it the influence of the sins of this life again? This feeling made Yayu very helpless and embarrassed, but there was nothing he could do about it. Carrying the sins and desires of the whole world, although Yayu tried hard to suppress them with his own strength, it was a pity that although his own strength was frost, it did not mean purity. That frost is unclean frost. Yayu doesn't know what he will become when the two powers burst out together if he continues to use this power to suppress the sins of this world. Now, I can only take one step at a time. Thinking of this, Yayu showed a helpless smile, while Black Rabbit, who felt something keenly on the other side, also jumped away with a red face. Well, although I am very grateful to Mr. Yayu for joining me, Black Rabbit does not provide special services. He is a pure rabbit. Black Rabbit said so coquettishly. Damn, I was thinking about something. Yayu knocked on his head with some annoyance. He drove out the unhealthy images in his mind and tried not to look at the Black Rabbit. As if he didn't notice anything wrong with Yayu, Black Rabbit once again looked at Izayoi and the others with hopeful expressions. You three, really don't think about it anymore. If you participate in the gift competition, once you win, you will have the opportunity to receive all kinds of rich and unimaginable gifts provided by the organizer. Who is the organizer? This is what Izayoi asked. There are many. There are competitions held by Shura gods and demons in the name of trials to test humans, and there are also groups that hold competitions on their own to show the strength of guilds. The former are mostly free to participate, but because the organizer is Shura gods and demons, it is often dangerous and difficult, and may be life-threatening. But the rewards are relatively greater. Although it depends on the organizer, getting a new gift is by no means a dream. As for the latter, you must prepare a bet to participate. When a contestant loses, according to the rules, the bet will be counted as a donation and handed over to the guild where the organizer belongs. It sounds interesting, Izayoi said. Yayu's eyes lit up, and he was playing games with gods and demons to win gifts. So, is it possible to get the gift of traveling through the world? The Ultimate Lich King. Author, Xiezhongdai Shang. Chapter 170. It's really hard to understand just by talking about it, so let Black Rabbit play a gift game with everyone, Black Rabbit said, snapping his fingers, and a long table fell from the sky. Oh, a very interesting ability, Izayoi said, and several problem children looked at the table that suddenly appeared curiously. Everyone, the rules of the game are very simple. Just think of it as a trial for you to join the guild. I am in. Black Rabbit played with the playing cards in his hand and said confidently. Hey. Hey. When did we say we were going to join? Izayoi said unhappily. Oh ha ha ha, is it because you don't have confidence in yourself? There is really nothing you can do about it? But yes, after all, compared with Mr. Yayu, you will be a little timid and it will not surprise anyone. Black Rabbit. He let out a queenly laugh, and then slapped the playing cards in his hand on the table. Because of Yayu's joining, it seems that Black Rabbit is much more confident, and even seems to not care whether Izayoi and the others join or not. Ah! Stupid Black Rabbit, what a stupid thing you are doing. Mr. Yayu had just joined, and he actually used him to show off his power. If he got angry and walked away, everything would be over. He was mourning in his heart, but Black Rabbit put on a casual look. Please, please don't be angry with Black Rabbit, and please accept my challenge. Yeah, you didn't have the heart to worry about this. He was still thinking about how to get the gift of traveling across the world. TCH, it's really a cliché way to provoke generals, but it really makes me very unhappy, so let me play with you. Izayoi said with his arms crossed. Please explain the rules. Kuonasuka and Kazukebyo also came to the table together with curious expressions on their faces. The rules are very simple. Take out a card from this playing card. As long as it has a character on it, you win. Black Rabbit said happily, then let's play. No problem. This is Izayoi. Let's get started. This is the elegant young lady. Let's play. Kazukebyo, she said to his three-haired cat. Then the contract is established, Black Rabbit said as a piece of shimmering paper fell from the sky. What is this? Izayoi asked, holding the piece of paper. The contract document is an important document that explains the rules of the gift game and the winning and losing conditions, Black Rabbit explained. Also, Black Rabbit, as a descendant of gods and Buddhas, has jurisdiction to judge. Rabbit's ears and Hakoden the center is directly connected, so cheating is impossible. Okay, let's get started. Anything casual after victory, I'm really looking forward to it, Izayoi said, looking at Black Rabbit with evil intentions. Things are not allowed. Looking at Izayoi's eyes, Black Rabbit shrank back in fear. Okay, who would do such a thing under the suspicious eyes of the women present? Izayoi waved his hand. Then, the game begins. Everyone, come on, Black Rabbit said, spreading out the playing cards in his hands. Ha ha ha, it's so simple and inexplicable, Izayoi laughed and then slapped the table with Black Rabbit's surprised eyes. Ah! Black Rabbit looked blankly at the playing cards flying in the sky. I want this. I want this. Kuonasuka and Kazukebyo, with their sharp eyes and quick hands, immediately picked up the two turned-over cues. Ah! It looks like we won, Izayoi said, turning over the card in his hand. Grass flower K. No, this is cheating. You're cheating. Cheating? Didn't you just say that there is absolutely no way to cheat in front of you? Why? Black Rabbit was slightly startled, and the verdict that the game was valid came from the center of the small garden. Black Rabbit looked dejected, and his ears drooped. How could this happen? Hey, that rabbit over there, Izayoi called to the Black Rabbit. It's annoying, I'm not a rabbit. I have a name, I'm called Black Rabbit, Black Rabbit argued. We have decided to join your community, Izayoi said with a smile, while Black Rabbit raised its rabbit ears excitedly. Oh, really? Yes. Thank you so much. Black Rabbit jumped up so excited that his long blue hair turned into pink. But I still have one last question to ask. If the answer makes me unsatisfied, then there is nothing I can do. Hey, Izayoi-kun, is there anything else you want to ask? Black Rabbit asked curiously, his long pink cherry hair turning blue again. That is this world interesting? Izayoi looked at the majestic city in the distance and asked with contempt for all things. The other two of them also waited silently for Black Rabbit's answer. Because the letter that summoned them said, abandon your family, friends, property, everything in the world, and come to our Hako garden. So whether this place can match the price is the most important thing to the three of them. Yes. The gift game is a game between gods and demons that only superhumans can play. I, Black Rabbit, can pat my chest and guarantee that the world of Little Garden is definitely more interesting than the outside world. That's good, Hakaba, wait for me, Izayoi vowed to conquer. Looking at the three passionate teenagers and the happy Black Rabbit, Yayu, who seemed a little out of place, smiled bitterly, shook his head, and moved forward alone. Something like warm blood, it feels really good, but it's a pity that I don't have it anymore. Mr. Yayu, don't leave in a hurry, let me lead the way for you. Seeing Yayu turn around and leave, Black Rabbit hurriedly chased after him, diligently helping Yayu lead the way. They are really treated differently. The eldest lady, Asukayuxio, shrugged displeasedly and brushed her long hair around her ears. Well, there is no other way. Who makes the other party the strong one? He alone is completely worth the three of us, right? Although what you said is good, it still makes people feel uncomfortable for no reason. Finiao muttered so, and then stared at Yayu's back with some curiosity and some surprise. But, you are so strong, why do you say you are not a strong person? Well, who knows, but this man must be a man with a story. Izayoi said so meaningfully, and the smile in his eyes became more intense. But the more he looks like this, the more I want to have a good fight with him.